All right. Welcome to the Dirty Snow Podcast, episode 7. Oh, this is great. We're coming off of a Eagle River weekend. New world champion was crowned with the F3 division, which is unbelievable. We're going to have him on a little bit here. We're going to get through some stuff here, talking about other finishes, and then we're going to put him on the spotlight, hear his story, and see how it went for his weekend.
Yeah, so first of all, welcome. Dirty Snow Podcast, Emperor One Studio here. Great weekend of racing up in Eagle River. We'll kick it off with a little recap for Friday Night Thunder. Touch on a few classes here. Pro Light, we had Will Garceau picking up the win. Brent Miller was second, and Ross Olson was third. A little tech problem there.
I don't know all the info on it, so I'm not going to
I don't know either. I just saw two people were DQ'd, and from what I heard through the grapevine was the winner and P3 failed to report to tech. So Will Garceau was second place and crowned your winner, and everyone moved up accordingly.
Wow,
so I don't know what happened there, but
let's go F500. We got Joey Nawalny out front. That was good to see him. One thing that's funny about his little story is he showed up in a 2-place snowmobile trailer, carbide grinder, and a socket set is what I heard.
Yeah, I talked to Joey a little bit on Sunday, and he said we made the decision Thursday night to come to Eagle River. So it always is kind of cool,
He's always had fast stuff, and he's led other races at Eagle River and made some mistakes.
Yeah, he's won there though too. Yes. So I mean, it's cool to see when you can just pull it off the shelf in the garage and it's still fast and a little bit of maintenance and ready to go.
Yeah, one person that really impressed me, Kendra. Wow, did she run a lot of classes? Did unbelievable performance. Yeah. She took a third on Friday night.
Yeah, she was fast. A lot of heat wins. Very good showing for her all
great
weekend.
Performance. We're gonna go Outlaws. The man, the legend, Timmy Hibbert was in here last week on the show. That guy took it home, thought he was going to do some donuts, and the belt didn't want to stay together. So
yeah, snapped the belt.
I'm just happy he made it to the finish line.
Yeah, he was hooting and hollering and waving to people on like lap 3. He had a big lead.
Oh man, he had the finger out down the back stretch, and then the front stretch. People are like, "What is this guy doing?" He had the field covered.
Yeah, he beat Joe Schneider, and then Curtis Kurth finished third.
Yep, we're gonna go champ. Matt Gady,
class the field again.
Another one. He's Friday Night Thunder. That's clean sweep for him on the Thunder. He did it last weekend and did it this weekend.
Yeah, yep.
You really can't say much about that.
Two really good weekends for Matt Gady in Eagle River.
Stern wrapping up in second there, and Blaine in third.
Yeah, that was for USSA points. So big. I think they had 18 champ sleds Friday night. So that was good.
Great number. And then we had F3. Stern takes it again 2 years in a row now on the F3 for Friday Night Thunder. Cook. Surprise! That was an unbelievable performance. Cook held in there, and Stevenson took a third.
Yeah, Calvin Cook, kind of a surprise there. I mean, for a younger guy, he was really fast all weekend. He was fast up in Ironwood too, I believe. So it was good to see.
Yeah, that impressed me a little.
Yeah, moving over to the Sunday finals, outlaw class. Joe Schneider picked up the win over Ron Theroff and Jordan Grabowski. I know Timmy blew a belt. He was probably one of the faster outlaws again, but unfortunately, some mechanical problems there. Moving over to F500 Sport, Jason Smutty was first, followed by Kendra, and then Austin Graber. F500 Pro, Tyler Foster, Ross Olson, and Chris Kelly. The Pro Light class, Andy Shoemaker, Mark Donahue, and Luke Olson. And then the Enduro, and I apologize, the results only gave one driver. I know there's 1 or 2 drivers per sled, but for the Enduro, the big 100 lapper at the end of the day, Troy DeWalt picked up the win.
And he was running with Ryan.
Yes, Ryan Spencer. I knew that. Yeah. And then the other second place was Luke Krenz, and I'm sorry, I don't know who he was riding with. And then Cody Bauer was third. I know Troy was up there for Vintage Weekend. He was on a Supermod.
Yeah, Troy and Ryan Spencer both made the front row of the Supermod. So it's interesting, you see a lot of guys that were there a week before. We got Jay Mittelstaedt with us later. He was in Vintage Weekend running the IFS stuff, and he's also run the Supermod in the past.
And then
it's unbelievable. Gady wins. How many of those other guys that were racing at Vintage Weekend came out on top this weekend?
Yeah, they were all podium. I mean, like you said, Troy DeWalt, good vintage racer, podiumed in the Enduro, but he's also got a lot of enduro experience to
yeah.
him and Ryan. And then, Matt Gady won the champ over John Hankey and Mark Donahue. But Gady was there, getting a lot of laps in at Eagle River the weekend before.
Yeah, and it's unbelievable. Gady, think that champ, he's dominated again.
Yeah. And then the big show, the F3 for the first time as the world championship class. Kind of a surprise winner. Mr. Jay Mittelstaedt.
Yeah.
I mean, wow, he had some smoke. I mean, I know he crashed on Friday, but man, he was just fast right off the line. And that was really cool to see.
Yeah, when he took the hole shot, I don't think it was going to phase him. He was going to run away and hide.
Yeah, he got the Woody's hole shot award, and then they red flagged it right away.
Yeah,
so then he had to go do it a second time.
He didn't just do it once. He did it twice.
So that was cool to see. Gunnar Stern.
He put on a strong show. Gunnar Eagle River and the luck there. You guys thought he could run away for a little bit there at the beginning, and
it was
didn't pan out with the red.
As everyone was, complaining and bitching, oh, it's F3 and not champ. I mean, from my perspective as a race fan, that was the best show you could have asked for. You had two super fast sleds duking it out for several laps.
Yeah,
I mean, that was
after the tighter race.
That was a very tight.
You see champs even get that.
Yeah, everything gets spread out eventually, but that was a tight race. I would say for probably 20 out of the 25 laps.
Yeah, and we got Jake coming in third there.
Jake Garrow, yep.
He had a enduro sled. It had the big tank and everything, I think. On
I believe so, yes.
So that was impressive to see him. He kind of drove through the field, and just a lot of the drivers were weathered out. They were dropping like flies for a second there, which kind of let me down. A few of these drivers, didn't have the endurance that I thought they would.
I think these sleds are a lot less. I don't want to say driver friendly, but they're heavier and they don't turn as well.
Yeah,
from just what it looks like. So, and then
we'll talk to Jay on that and see what he thinks, because he's done it both.
Yeah,
and he's run some of the largest races, the longest races on snow as well. So
yeah, the big story coming from the WC right as opening ceremonies was concluding was the four-time champ Blaine Stevenson had some problems at the starting line.
Yeah, that was a tough break for him.
But yeah, you hate to not even be able to,
to compete
defend
for
your
something,
crown.
to defend it. Yeah.
So that's always tough to see. No one wants to,
And the man upstairs had a plan, I guess, and it's how it sometimes lands. You know, there's many times Colt DeLandrea, we thought a few years back was going to
won that and couldn't get out of the paddock.
Couldn't get out of the paddock. The reeds broke. Yeah. So it's happened before. What? It's going to happen again, I bet you, in Eagle River history, because Eagle River is its own monster.
Yeah, there's always demons when you're up there of different types. So yeah, it was a good weekend though. Your Czech liver light on?
So my Czech liver light is on after Eagle River always. It seems if I don't drink when I drive or race snowmobiles. So when I get my free time at Eagle River, I have a little too much fun and it gets me in trouble on the hill.
You're just patronizing the local establishments. That's all.
Yeah, just give a little money to them.
So yeah, so Eagle River turnout, I thought typical Friday night, you had the most fans there, which I wasn't surprised by that. It looked pretty decent. All the hot boxes were filled. Yeah, decent weather. I mean, there's certainly been colder Eagle River, so a little bit of snow and mixed in a little bit of snow dust, but I thought it was a good turnout.
Good, clean racing was good. The temps were great. You couldn't really complain. I kept the track clean with the temps being where they were. The snow dust didn't linger, and we had a little wind. So yeah, it all worked out in favor for them. Turned out to be a good race.
So our first real talking topic, and we ran into Jim Fenhouse at Harbor Freight today, and we kind of picked his brain a little bit on how he thought the progression of snowmobile racing is with moving to the F3 WC class as the WC class. And he said he's seen it from the 60s. Every so many years they changed the WC class, and it went from twin trackers to the first F3 to champs, stuff like that. And he said, it's really good to see some new blood in oval racing,
and he made that statement very clear. New blood for a guy that's a diehard champ guy. His son raced, made the show, been in it all. The family's there. That's a huge last name.
Yeah, for sure. So it was an interesting take, and I thought that was important to touch on. And again, for people that are watching, I see we got 79 viewers right now. If you guys have thoughts on racing or the F3 class or anything that we're going to talk about, feel free to comment. We'll try to read them here on air. But yeah, it was, he did say that, he said it like this, and I thought he was very blunt when he said this to us today, and I agreed with him 100%.
Yeah, it was shocking.
He said the WC is at Eagle River, right? And we're like, yep. And he said it's their venue. They get to pick the class. What the WC is, and that's exactly what they did. And unfortunately, it might hurt some feelings.
Yeah,
but if they're best, if they put the best interest of snowmobile racing as their top priority, and they wholeheartedly think they're going to progress the sport by changing the WC class, then I think you got to agree with them.
Yep, they're making the big decision, and it seemed to work. We see new blood, and we seen something. It was kind of an upset if we were to go off the snowboard rankings.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it was cool to see. I thought overall Eagle River had a phenomenal turnout. They were fast with their plow brakes.
Yeah, they did a great job.
I mean, you can't.
I'm not going to say anything about this racetrack because we all had the same racetrack to compete on. Eagle River did their best to perform with the weather we had. And it takes, if you haven't ran a lot of laps on a water truck, I don't want to hear it out of you.
Exactly. Everyone knows by Sunday of Eagle River, the track is going to be rough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guaranteed.
I don't know why people complain about a rough track. Hey,
we're all in the same race.
Workout. Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's in there.
Either work out and be stronger, be fitter, or get your sled set up to where you can run through the bumps or avoid the dirt and, maybe have 10 sets of carbides where you just got to constantly replace them. That's part of it.
And I told Craig myself, hey, for what you guys put on here, you're putting a big show on. You got a lot of sleds running, a lot of laps throughout the weekend, top of 2 weekends. I don't want to hear people that are giving them a hard time on track conditions.
I think it was close to 900 entries for vintage weekend. And then I want to say like 350 for this.
I don't know a number. I didn't see any articles I read this morning to get prepared for this. So it was great showing. I'm just happy they got the show in and everybody got home safe. Not too many injuries. It's tough to see Wojo go down early on Friday.
Yeah, that's too bad. I mean, I think he would have been fast too.
He would have been a good competition.
Broke some ribs from what we've been told. So,
yep.
But also touching on that, Douglas Enter just commented and he said, interesting to get our take on what the reception would be by switching weekends with vintage to run the WC as the first weekend event and then vintage is the second weekend.
I don't see it happening because history, Eagle River is their date. They're going to keep it that way. I know it's been a talking subject, but I don't ever see it happening.
Plus, usually Ironwood's not the same weekend.
Yeah, that's true.
Ironwood's usually the first falls over New Year's kind of. I don't know if it's a scheduling thing this year. Brett Richter says hello. Hi, Brett. But yeah, so I don't think it's been like that for as long as I can remember. It's always vintage weekend, then modern weekend. And unless they combine them, which I don't think there's enough parking in the pits for that. I don't see that happening. I
don't think the drivers would want to see them combined because they like to do their vintage. They want to bring their supermod out or whatever they're doing. That's their baby they put away in the garage. Maybe that's the only race they race a vintage sled.
Exactly. And normally what it is the modern guys, the champ guys, they show up to Ironwood over New Year's and then they get figure their stuff out,
get a break,
and then they get a break to work on their stuff or go test and then show up to Eagle River like that. So normally you need that weekend. That's a prime, good weekend for racing. You got to fill it with something. So I think the vintage WC needs to stay where it's at. And modern weekend's always the middle of January, followed by Wausau. I mean, that's
always followed by Wausau.
Yeah. And Matt DeMars just commented, and I was going to touch on this as well. Vintage doesn't have the comfort that Champ Racing has. They don't have the nice shocks or suspension and stuff like that. And I'll agree to that. That stuff's older technology, and they need that fresher ice. I think is what we saw the track deteriorate to on Sunday. I think you would have a lot more crashes and people getting hurt on a vintage sled because it would just be a snowcross event.
All right, let's hit the topic 2. Something that really grinded my gears over the weekend out of drivers, and this really got to me.
And this happened more than one time.
There's
so we're
not one driver. There's nobody. It happened many times throughout the weekend, and it was guys walking away from their sled when the guys are putting it on the board. And then another flag guy would have to come over, sit on that sled and hold the brake so it didn't fall off. So it turned into a little.
It slowed the show down a little
It slowed the show down. I get it. You're mad. I get you're in a situation, but I think that's your stallion. That's your horse. That's your baby. You never want to leave that thing on the racetrack unattended unless you're hurt or injured. And I understand if you're going on the board or whatever. Something that just really drove me nuts. I seen it, and
it was multiple
all the way
classes,
from Friday all the way through the weekend.
And I agree with it. You know, it's frustrating when either you crash or you have problems and stuff like that. So you got to stay with your sled. You got to, you know, ride it with pride, even though if something happens, your sponsors are out there for you. You got to be out there for them.
You know, there's sometimes tough breaks at Eagle, and it makes it really tough. And the stress and everything all adds up, and you're really trying to put a show on. But
yeah, I would say from a crew person's perspective, in the past, that is the most stressful weekend of the year. Would you agree as a driver? I mean, it is just such a long weekend and stuff like that. So
hey, thanks Keith and Spencer for joining us today. That's awesome.
Yeah,
good to see the comments.
Max Pascula said when his brother's sled came off, they had him riding the UTV to direct them back to the pit area. Okay, that makes sense.
Gotcha. Maybe I was misled.
Maybe we were wrong, but
I was more or less talking about the guys that just completely left the sled.
Yeah, that just away. I mean, they crashed in turn 2 and walked to the paddock because they're pissed. I get it. It's
drove me.
A lot of emotion in racing. You know, everyone works their ass off to get there. So
we don't need another Nick Lagoy incident on our hands with the fight night and stuff. So
that was the most views Flow Racing's ever had, though. So slightly entertaining, but Flow Racing, someone commented, did a really good job if you were watching from home. And
Chet in the booth up there, he's a great announcer. And Bart this weekend is unbelievable to have those guys.
Yeah, Andy Engen just commented. He said track was rough, but really fun. He was on the bikes, and the bikes are always fun. I know people complain, oh, they chew up the ice. It's like they're there to put on a show too. I mean, you don't see snowmobiles doing wheelies you can see them do a wheelie at the line. You don't see them do a consistent wheelie. So that's always fun.
At the end of the weekend, you could see them on the backstretch. It was getting a little dicey back there.
Yeah.
We're going to hear a little about that and how it progressed from Jay, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on to topic number 3. I talked to a few people that this might be an option later down the road. And please comment on
I'm
this
a little
too.
up for lunch on this one. I'm not going to lie to him.
I just think it would be cool to see. I don't know if it would work or not. This is just a concept idea. It looks really good on paper. I don't know. It didn't look good when we were
looking at lap times and doing a little research on the subject.
I still think it would be cool.
So
here I'm going to pitch my class idea right now. And USSA, if you're listening, or whoever's listening, I think this could be kind of that happy medium ground to appease both champ guys and the F3 class guys.
I don't see it happening.
I don't see it happening either, but I still would like just to, again, really good on paper. A combo class where you race a champ against an F3. So they kind of did this back in the late 90s when twin trackers were going away and the modern champ sled was coming through as the predominant class. You could race your twin trackers against a champ sled. And before my time, so I can't tell you how it turned out.
You can watch some of the videos, actually.
You can watch some of it.
You can see how the 340 twin tracker was underpowered down the straightaways to the single tracker champ with the 440.
But it handled better
through the corner. It drove through it. You didn't burn your carbites off in that long run.
Exactly. So I would be interested to see how a champ sled would handle against an F3. I think at like a track like Beaujeu, where you're super long straightaway, the F3s would wax them because they'd just be on the gas a lot longer. But a track like Eagle River, I think it would be pretty close because you have tighter corners where handling is a much bigger thing. But you also have longer straightaways there too. Whereas Wausau, I think a champ sled would, be more dominant because it's a handling track. You're not on the gas long enough. So that's just my thoughts on that. I think it would be cool because it'd be something different. It could put the narrative to bed of which class is better, where you could pinpoint the advantages a little easier.
I'm still out there on the concept, Norm. Sorry, buddy.
Okay, well, that's fine because the fastest champ time of the weekend was Matt Gady. He turned a 19.15 on Sunday, and Gunner's fastest F3 lap was a 21.36. So The champ was a little faster at Eagle River.
Yep.
However, they only ran a 7-lap race.
Ooh, that's true.
Versus a
You
25
take the
lap
car
race.
weights off a champ sled and you're up lunch.
Exactly. So if you had them straight up, both 15 lap races where endurance comes into it and track conditions come in, I think that would be a lot closer. Those are just the fastest numbers we had. That doesn't mean Matt Gady was running consistent 19.15s, and that doesn't mean Gunner was running consistent 21.3s.
All right.
So it would be interesting to see. That's just my pedestal. I think USSA would do it if you could find like a one-time sponsor to like throw $1,000 down or something like that.
All right.
I think they'd be all for it. And
as long as it's not a shootout where it's two guys.
No, it can't be two guys. So
we'll never go back to that.
No. So if you have a champ sled and an F3, you have to pick one.
Okay.
So
this is like going Crandon over
here. It would be like Crandon Pro 4 versus the Pro 2, and you would have to like say Blaine on his champ sled at Eagle versus Gunner on his F3 at Eagle River. You wouldn't want to watch that. You're telling me you wouldn't want to watch that.
I think we get Jock Billington on one. There we go. Now we're talking about the wild man himself. Thanks, Keith, for throwing that in there.
See, he raced Jock against F3, F1. See, yeah, Keith and his wife Dana agreed that they would like to see a combo class. See, I'm not the only one out there.
Okay, let's go. Let's talk about the youth, man. They came in clutch. A lot of kids at the Kitty Cat track. WKSRA really had a great turnout at Eagle River. It's always great to see them on the front stretch in front of Eagle River. I always work my way over there, check it out. And
yeah, a lot of sleds, a lot of trailers. Remember to show them some love. I know it's real easy to get sucked into the big track and just stay parked on the hill all day, but I like to wander over there. Those guys, put on a good show and lots of kids. I mean, that's the future of the sport. So it's, if you don't show them some love or get them some sponsorship and stuff like that, it's hard for, what do they say out of, say 10 Kitty Cat drivers, 2 or 3 move all the way up to the top level. It's a really hard progression. It's a family sport, and the WKSR people really support each other. So always try to get out there and support them. I believe they're coming to Wausau next weekend.
They'll be at Wausau.
Right? So always don't be afraid to go over and watch those guys. They do put on a show, man. Those little sleds run fast. I was standing next to the snowbank. I backed up a little bit. One guy was using it as a berm to turn. So it was a good show.
Well, everybody's fired up here. We got a ton of people on 66 currently. They're waiting for this man, your WC winner in the F3, Jay Mittelstaedt. We're going to bring him on here. This is awesome to have him. It's a cool
fresh off a
WC
win.
All right, let's get him in here. Hey, Jay, how are you doing?
Hey, guys. Good. Thanks for having me on.
Oh,
thanks for being here.
Thanks for being here. I bet you it was. We talked a little earlier today, and you said it was just unbelievable, the ride home and the phone calls and texts.
Yeah, it's been pretty surreal day, wake up after that and, then trying to pack everything up and phones blowing up and, slight headache, from whatever, but it was awesome. And then just driving home, talking on the phone.
Sunday racing at on the track post WC
Sunday Night Thunder. Sunday Night Thunder.
With Gary Moyle is always
famous for that. We wrecked that Super one time.
So yeah, how do you feel? Like, tell us a little bit about, has it hit you yet? You won the 59th World Championship.
I don't know if it's hit me. It's talking to a couple people on the way home. It's like get goosebumps talking about it. I don't know. It's unbelievable. We kind of put this sled together. I was kind of planning on it all summer to build it, and parts are hard to get. Life has got busy. Everything's going on. Then I kind of ran out of time, and then kind of forgot about it. And then I asked Nick Dozel, like, Nick, this is probably like November. It's probably like Thanksgiving, and like, you want to build an F3 sled? He's like, no. I'm like, well, okay.
That's not good.
Wow.
Come on, Nick. We need you here.
Yeah. So I just kept after him. He's like, well, let me talk to Walls, see if it's even feasible for me to get this thing done in time. And he talked to him, and yeah, I think we can get it done. So, basically just order everything from Wall. That's basically all Wall set up on that F3. So Nick really built it for me, and up there in Eagle River, and yeah, we got it. I got up there. Well, then I got up there Wednesday for vintage, and then race vintage all weekend, which is another awesome event for people who've never checked that out. That's some of the best racing out there too. I think that people hear vintage and kind of get the wrong idea about what it actually is.
53 sleds for their WC.
Yeah.
That's a big field.
You competed in that last year, Jay. Did you make that the front row last year in that vintage?
Nope. I think we missed by like 1 spot or 2 spots, something. We were close, but we didn't quite get in.
The stress is there, though. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
It's unbelievably stressful when you're trying to make that show. So I heard through the grapevine from Matt Schultz. He was with you during vintage weekend. He was up there this weekend, and he made the comment, you guys really wanted a ring because it got robbed of you when you did it on champ sleds.
Yeah.
So they brought the rings back, and did that kind of spook the fire a little bit to build this sled?
It really did. Because that was my whole life. Just my dream was to get a ring, to get a Eagle River ring, right? And I tried so many years on the champ sled, and we didn't quite have the equipment. I thought I had the strength, and I thought I had the drive to be there, but I just didn't quite have the equipment in the champ sled. And this is, a few years ago, one is, full mod. So I just, didn't quite have what some of the other teams had. And then this summer, when they made the announcement they were switching to F3, I'm like, with my enduro background and my snowcross background, I'm like, I got a lot of time on that chassis. And I think, full body sled, I'm a little taller guy, a little bigger guy. It just fits me better than a champ sled. And then the rules really kind of help towards a little bit more of a budget build versus a unlimited budget build for a champ. So I think that's really what kind of put me in that idea of I think I would be decent on one of these sleds, and why not go for another WC, kind of a last hurrah here, I think, and try it out. And so really that was like my goal. I didn't even, going into the weekend, I never even put winning the WC. I've never, just getting a ring is, I thought would be everything I could ever do. So
what's that ring feel like, Jay? Now you have good 2 rings. You get one for winning it, right?
Nope. You just got the one.
Qualified.
And so top 10, yeah, I got it here. The Derby track did an amazing job with it. I mean, check this thing out. It's
holy cow!
That's cooler. Wow, that's awesome.
There.
Oh yeah, it's.
We had an interesting talk last week about the WC bringing the ring back and how important it is for a driver. And you just made that statement right there. That ought to sell them on bringing it for both weekends.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, I would fight for that. I mean, that's part of the history about it, right? I mean, that's what you grow up knowing and dreaming about is getting a ring.
I think that was one of my biggest moments in my accomplishments in champ. When I finally got it in 2019, it was the coolest thing in the world is to put that on,
right,
and walk up and show people. Now it sits in my trophy case, but that's unbelievable to hear that it started as just that ring had that much power.
Yeah, because when we were, it's racing champ there, and then we tried doing one last hurrah with the champ and that Hool sled, and I think we had one. We had a sled to definitely get a ring, and then I was just looped out, and then that's when I cut my leg up real bad. That was 3 years ago now, but it's like it's just been eluding me ever since then.
Well, it's awesome to hear that you got the ring and walked away with the WC. So
you got more than just the ring.
Yeah,
you got the whole snowboard cup
package.
They didn't count them in very well. They
gave
them 8-1 odds.
8-1 odds. Snowboard gave them. That was 6 out of 9 guys they did on the power ranking.
I'm thinking my trip to the Bales Friday night didn't help those odds.
That's true.
I mean, how did you end up in the Bales on Friday? Just typical rut.
Typical Friday night thunder for Jay Mittelstaedt. Crashing. I got the whole shot, and in my eyes, I was coming in straight in. We're 4 wide, and nobody lifted Friday night show. And I was like, I felt like I was just starting to sit off the sled a little bit to start turning in. I hit a bump, and I think I touched Blaine. It's just like those 3 things just happened all exactly the same time. So I basically, I watched the video a few times, and so I basically like I just kind of fell off the side of the sled. The sled never tipped over, nothing. It just went straight into the bales. So yeah, I kind of hit that rut, was just starting to lean off the sled. And then I think I touched Blaine. Then when I started leaning and just that little bit of contact, just
it all adds up quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did the sled hit the bales hard at all?
You know, the sled did hit pretty hard. But I think it hit it square enough. Really, it didn't really do any damage. It broke a ski, you know, that right side ski broke. But that was really about the only damage to the sled.
I don't know who you have in the clutching department, but man, they're doing an awesome job. It seems like you've been getting off the line great for the sled having the time you had on it, a little bit of time.
Yeah. No, I put a clutch set up in it Monday at the shop, and then we went and tested Tuesday, and I threw another little thing at it, and it just, I don't know, that snowmobile just came to life.
Yeah, that's good to see that. You know, it recovered on Friday. I mean, that was one thing that we've been asked too is, you know, how strong are the F3s? And well, that just proved it. You can ride it into the bales and straighten it out pretty decent and come back and win a WC. So
yeah, that's one thing about those. You know, I know the Polaris ones, especially the bulkheads on those are just, you know, they're massive. They're strong. They're, you know, it's made for snowcross. It's made to take that abuse. That's why I think if they do a little rule change with the engine packages or whatever, you know, a guy could build one of these chassis and it could last you several seasons. You know, there's no reason for it not to.
Get rid of the 2-year rule of model year sled.
Yeah, because I think it has to, and two, the engine has to match the year. So like I have a 21 chassis, so I have to have a 21 motor. Well, now 22 motor, you know, has a different cylinder on it, so it's supposed to be, you know, whatever 3 to 5, 10, whatever horsepower more. Well, since I have a 21 chassis, I can't put that 22 motor in mine, even though it would go in, or just even put the 2022 cylinder on.
So you're saying if they open that up where they'd, you know, be a little more lenient on the chassis and engine rules versus, you know, years, it's still got to be, you know, same make, same model essentially, but you could get a couple more years out of the sled. And
So
maybe that rule in place so you couldn't go and start switching all that stuff. Because if you look at the champ stuff and you go all the years of Polaris, they started cross-referencing all the part numbers. So you could start to
or
switch
like
and swap,
like an
so it made
04
it more
crank
of an open concept.
04 crank is better, and you put like 2,000 cylinders on an 04 crank with a you know 99 head and stuff like that.
So
maybe make it like a, you know, just maybe like a 5-year deal, so you don't have, because right now, you know, if they come out with a new motor every year, well, you got to build a new F3 every year, and then your current F3 isn't really worth much because it's old at that point. You know,
it's hard to sell it, you know, because you can't use it in the premier class, or if they went to like a junior class with the F3s, you can maybe pass it down to like a junior driver.
And I think they could, because in snowcross they have the half throttle blocks and then the computer programs already. So I think you got a good opportunity there for once F3s start to get cycled through, junior classes are going to come about.
Yep. And I think that's a neat thing about the F3 class chassis, whatever, is that it's so easy for them to make that into a junior class, right? You know, you got the ECU, they just reprogram like snowcross. It has a 6,500 RPM rev limiter, whatever it is, and then a throttle block. So, or you could do either way, you know, one of either, or you could have several transitions through there. You know, that's one advantage to it for sure.
Well, that sounds awesome. I'm glad you brought that stuff up, because you're looking at the future. And, you know, we were looking through photos as they were rolling out yesterday, and your father-in-law posted this photo right here, Jay. It was unbelievable. Sorry, it's covering you up. Let me figure this one out here. I'll let it cover me up. Tell about what this photo, you know, you see all the emotion. This is when Alan posted this. It was like, yes, right there is the future, the emotions out of your family.
Yeah.
I thought that was like one of the greatest.
And that's when I came down there. Everybody's giving me crap because I didn't do a victory lap. And I'm like, oh, I totally forgot. I came down there. I seen Paige and Mason sitting there. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. Just wanted to be by them, I guess. Yeah, it's so real yet. I don't know for them both. And I think it means more now to me now with Mason, you know, my boy there, just having him be there and part of it, the whole thing. It just, I don't know. It's something really special. Something I'll obviously remember my entire life.
Did you have him on a sled yet? I seen some pictures of the kitty.
Yeah, he got out on the Paige's. So Alan kept Paige's kitty cat from when she raced back when she was young. So he broke that out of the garage here, vintage weekend when I was up here the weekend before. So yeah, he's 17 months old and putting around the yard on his kitty cat. So I don't really get the concept yet.
WKSR, no time.
You'll be racing in no time. You'll have Jay and Matt Schultz with Oakley. Oh, it's going to be
heavy planning on that already. Yep.
Married into a racing family that's predominantly in the snowmobile racing. So what's that like? I mean, you got Herfindahl on the other side as the
your brother-in-law.
And that's
going to be a very interesting Thanksgiving and Christmas. Now, who's going to win the next thing?
Big one.
Is
Iron Dog? I had to do something. I've been racing a long time. I've been racing stuff a long time, but I never really have a win to hang my hat on. I'm sitting there next to Alan. He, world points, number one in the world there for Skidoo for so many years, and sitting next to him is Herf, and I-500 Sioux winner, on and on and on, and then, and then there's me, So
you got a little feather in your cap, you can show them that ring at dinner next time, So
now I can bring something to the table now.
That's cool. And you've said you've done a lot of racing over the years, from motocross, hare scramble, snowcross, champ racing, F3. Is there a particular type of racing you just like more than the other? Or you just like the thrill of it?
I just love snowmobiles. I grew up riding. I grew up on a farm. We just had snowmobiles. I didn't start racing until I was probably like 17, 18, 19, something like that. We rode snowmobiles all the time growing up. If I went to my first snowcross race because we didn't have snow, so Dad's like, we can go ride your snowmobile at the snowcross race. At least there's snow there. Well, they ended up winning a couple of races, so then it just kind of snowballed from there. And then as I got a little older, kind of aged out of the snowcross a little bit, and then I went to vintage with the Mankey brothers. Did some vintage racing, and then that's when I was kind of got more familiar with the champ racing then. So then they're like, I'll go champ racing. And then that's when with Cardell Potter introduced me to enduro racing. So then I was doing some enduros with him. I don't know. So I've done a little bit of everything. And
you've thrown your hat in a lot of rings there. And it's paid off, all that experience running that enduro with Cardell. It must have helped you this week. And do you think that background gave you that advantage preparing for that track and the way it was coming out?
25 laps.
Riding the sofa versus riding the champ sled.
100%. And I think that's going back to listen before about vintage versus modern and switching the weekends around because it's rough. Sunday afternoon, the track shouldn't be perfect, right? That's it. It needs to be. That's what's part of the challenge of it. Sunday afternoon, you're going for the WC. It should be hard. Their track's rough. The rougher for me, the better. I like a rough track. I think just with my experience, it benefits me a little bit. But same, that's probably the enduro for sure. Trying to find clean lines, staying out of the dirt, that 25 laps where you can just kind of get in a good groove and just take them off and take them off and take them off and not get so tensed up where you kind of see the halfway flag and, want to pull off.
You said on the phone, you made the comment, I didn't know what lap we were on. I didn't even see the halfway flag. I just kept charging.
Just kept going. Yeah. I'm like, and then I know Gunner was coming up. I mean, I knew I got a little gap on because I couldn't hear him for a little while. And the guys in the pits were giving me hand signals that, I got a couple lengths on him. But then I know towards the end, then he started coming up on me again. And I'm like, I don't know if I should start pushing really hard if there's 5 laps left, 10 laps left, if there's 2 laps left. I was just thinking about just hit my mark. And so then all of a sudden the white flag came out. I'm like, well, I guess I better go.
Yeah. But be smart. You got to be smart in that last lap. You kind of tiptoe through the last 2 corners always, it feels like when you're sitting in the lead.
I'm like,
how did the handling go away? I know on Friday they were riding in dirt, and I know a lot of people started to lose the front end on the F3. Did that start to go away? I noticed your line particularly was up and out of the junk. So afterwards, I guess, kind of.
Mine were still pretty good. If you've seen the last, probably the 5 laps coming out of 4, I kind of tiptoed into 3 a little bit, but I was still able to turn it down and come low out of 4.
Mm-hmm.
Feel like I get a good drive coming down the hill and kind of cutting that 4 kind of narrow and short and kind of driving kitty corner across from inside of turn 4 to outside of turn 1. Kind of good ice there. I think I did a pretty good job staying on dirt. So I still had some decent front left at the end.
Well, that's good. That's good. You needed every bit of it, right?
He had me a little nervous some first few laps. So he was trying some lines in 3 and 4. You getting a little crooked over there, but then you moved up after that red flag. And the guys must have said something to you in the pits because you went to that top line and it cleaned up your show and you just started to really clip the laps off.
Yeah, I just couldn't, for whatever reason, vintage weekend, I'm usually 3 and 4 is one of my better corners. And for whatever reason, I just could not get it dialed with that F3 until, I just calmed down. I think I was just trying too hard or something. Yeah. I needed, so I just backed that corner up and kind of tiptoed in and then just kind of, squared it off and then drove out.
It's a big mental game when you're going down that backstretch and you got to put it on that wall. And you're like, oh, I feel safer dropping halfway down the track versus running into that corner real high.
Right.
You think that's a big mental game on any sled, I think.
It really is. The sled's working good and you got to have confidence. I think that's part of again, just, how many laps I have at that track. And I think that's where vintage helped me. I probably got dang near 50 laps. I run 6 classes with the IFS classes, vintage weekend, and, all the heats and 7-lap finals. So, and I like that high line. It works good for me in the vintage weekend too. So I'm used to being up against the boards up there, but yeah, there isn't no margin for error when you can hear the pipes bouncing off the boards when you're going into 3.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
I know Gady was
hard to
the same line too.
It's hard to explain that feeling when you do it. You can talk to all you guys and you finally go out and you put that lap down where you go in on the boards like that. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Right.
I got one question for you, Jay.
Yeah.
So the WC, you've raced in a couple of them where they've had a break at, lap 10, and 15 final laps at the end. And then this year was 25 all the way through. From a driver's perspective, is there a preference for you? Do you prefer the break or do you like it 25 laps all the way through?
I like the 25 laps. You show up, you run your laps. It seems like that, you can miss your mark or set up there that first 10 laps and then you can make all the changes and stuff. And, you get almost so much time, but I don't know. I kind of, it's more traditional. I think I just go up there and run the race, the stopping halfway and make adjustments and doing different things. I think just that 25 straight through is what I prefer.
Separates the men from the boys, if you got to go all the way through, right?
Well, it showed a few of the guys, I don't know if they had sled issues or they're dropping, but I said they dropped like flies about that 15 lap area.
Yeah. There was,
and
only
the men really stood
out.
out.
And there was only I think it was you and Gunner and Tom. There was only a few champ guys that were still running all the way through. It was a lot of the enduro guys that were left.
Yeah.
So I think that just proves that. But also one other thing is you've mentioned before you raced champ and now F3. What, I guess, if you had to pick a sled on a perfect track condition day to race, what would you pick, F3 or champ?
Oh, I don't know. That's tough. The champ is, the twin pipes are screaming, they sound cool. Obviously they handle a little better right now, I think. But man, Friday night in that heat race, when I was able to get around Blaine, mine was handling really well that night, and I think just the more time we can get on these F3s to get them dialed in. Cause before this year, I know guys are racing them, Blaine and Tom and, Gunner, they're all racing them, but not really caring, and not putting their effort into it, right? The show is for the champ guys, and that was the big money race and everything. So they were there to fill the spot for the spot. But I don't know. I think if we actually focus on them a little bit more, I think the handling will come around because there's no reason why I couldn't, I guess. I know they're bigger, they're heavier, but I think once we get it figured out.
Too,
it was a very
can't be
dominated
fast out of the box
field with Polaris to it, which was interesting to see. Not much support out of Skidoo. We had 2 of them in the field only, and the rest were Polaris. I don't remember seeing any cats.
There was one. Ben Langus had a cat.
Yes,
Ben Langus had a cat.
Yep.
Are you think those companies aren't putting as much into the F3 or limit it on getting? I know availability for cats was really tough, even for snowcross sleds, and availability this year for Skidoo was tough as well.
I think
a little more lenient there.
Probably a combination. I think there's more Polaris snowcross sleds. Around. I found mine is Nick Lorenz's old practice sled. I think there's a few more Polaris sleds around, and I know they had contingency money for them, so I think that also helped. So yeah, and I know Walls, they made kits for the Polarises too, so that obviously helps too. So
yeah, when parts are available,
parts are really available. And if anybody does want to build one, feel free to reach out to Mike. He does make a kit for the Skidoos as well. But I don't know of anybody doing anything for the cats.
Right.
So, anything else coming up for you this year? I mean, you're riding the high wave. You just got the World Championship. You and your team gonna run. You guys running the Sioux? Any more F3 races? You gonna come hang out with us at Wausau or?
Well, my original plan was to get my enduro sled done and go to Iowa for the cross country race, a big cross country race down in Iowa this coming weekend. But I don't quite have that done yet either. So I don't know. But definitely doing the Sioux again. Me and Jake Barris are going to do the Sioux. That's an amazing race. I don't know if you guys ever had a chance to go up there. That's another race. It's like Eagle River. You got to go up there and check it out at least once. The party on the hill and racing all day. It's a pretty cool event.
How many out? Because that's a 500-mile race, right? It's the
1 mile ice oval, 500 laps.
How long does it take to complete that?
I think it's like 8 hours, 8 to 10, depending on conditions, crashes, everything, all that stuff. It's like a NASCAR race, where they, if there's a crash, they throw the yellow, and then you got, do some caution laps, and then they plow every 100 laps too. So
wow,
that takes a little bit.
How as a driver how do you split time with Jake? Like, do you guys each run, say you're gonna run 50 laps, then switch, or
it just
you get tired?
Kind of go see how the day plays out. The track changes so much, so I usually start the race, and then Jake gets on. He kind of does the middle, and then I usually get on towards the end. But it just, you try to space it out between fuel breaks too. So you try to make it to a plow is when the competition yellow comes out at a plow at lap 100. So you try to at least make that whole green thing go, so you don't stop during green. Obviously,
losing laps.
Yeah,
right. Yep. So you usually try to do 100 lap stints.
Wow.
That's something like that, that's where you
makes
run
25 laps at Eagle River look easy then.
Well, it's definitely a different animal for sure. That Sioux, the corners are very similar to Eagle River, but it's just a mile long. So you can take a break a little bit down the straightaway, at least at the beginning, because then it gets rough at the end too. But
I bet.
What's the best you finished in that, Jay? How has it come out in years past for you?
I think we got 10th a couple times. 10th is, top 10 is the best we have. A couple years ago, we had top 3 sled probably. We were running right up there. We were leading for a few laps there too in midway point, and then we got tangled up with another sled and broke our brake line. The lever, some just replaced it, but it broke the line. So then by the time we routed all that, we're laps down. And then last year too. Or 2 years ago, they didn't have 2 last year, but 2 years ago, same thing. I'd say we were a top 3 sled, kind of running top 10, top 5 most of the day, just putting the laps in. And then some of the secondary, the spring broke in the secondary, or the spider came apart in the something really that I never seen before. I don't remember exactly what it was. Something happened. It took us two pit stops to figure out what it was, because everything looked fine from external. We thought we were trackers ratcheting or something. So by the time we got that fixed and whatever, we went a couple laps down too. So That's
Well, I think
that's
you're
Go
going to
ahead.
have a ton of new support going into this year. Team Blue is going to have some fans on the hill with a WC
Absolutely.
rider on it.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe you got to tell Alan. I think he's got to buy you and Herf a sled. You know, the son-in-laws.
Yeah. I'll let you see if you can pitch that one to him.
I don't
See what he
think that's
says.
going to happen.
I don't see him jump. The other one
No.
jumping off a cat. He's
No,
got
he's
a
not
pretty
gonna
good
jump off a
program
cat.
over there.
But anyone you'd like to thank that help got you here, help you got that WC ring?
Oh gosh, there's so many people. My main sponsors, Jay's Power Center, obviously my store there, and Polaris, Woody's, Fly, and then I obviously Nick Dozel for building me the sled. My parents, Cody Coyle, he was there both weekends. Really helped me out all the time. Zach Herfindahl, obviously, he was there this weekend. I'm thankful the race got switched because Iowa was supposed to be this weekend instead of next weekend, so he was able to be there. And yeah, without him there either, I don't know if I would have got it done. They were able to really kind of coach me and keep me level-headed during the whole week from all the ups and downs that we had. So obviously the whole Team Blue gang, they really been helping me out for a long time too. So
That's good to hear. It's always a big group of people, team effort. You need the whole village.
yeah, yep.
It's always a team, and the sleds take so much out of one person to sit and work on it. And you had a guy, unbelievable guy. He used to race a lot back in the day, build your sled, so he kind of knew what to look for and do. And I don't think a lot of people know his history, but he was quite a racer at one time as well. So it's awesome to see him building you a sled, and then you got some guys from the Ritchie camp to come over and help. Cody worked with them, right? It's kind of a mixed match. You're getting guys over all the years that just love racing to jump.
It really is, and Ritchie, he supports us too for the Sioux. Matt Ritchie, he rode for us a couple years ago, a couple times. So, and he same thing. He's just another guy that loves racing, and so he's still supporting us. And just all the people you meet over the years, and when you're around the sport for so long, and people still want to be involved and do whatever they can. As long as it's not like I think it helps that we just do a couple races here and there. You don't have to commit to a whole season running, chasing points. I think that gets
burned out either.
Get burnt out, right?
Yeah, getting guys to travel with you for that 9 rounds or 11 rounds. It's a full-time job for them to take off work, or they got to be in construction or this, or own their own business.
A farmer where nothing's going on in the winter.
Yeah,
kind of stuff like that.
Totally hear where you're coming from there.
Especially now, I look around the trailer. I got my son, my little guy, and Cody Coyle has a 2-month-old, and Schultz, he has his little guy. So it's like our whole age group is getting, time is hard to get away for more often. So
yeah, well, you guys are working on the next generation of snowmobile racers.
Yeah.
So you're filling the field down the road.
The dads are going to be pushing them hard.
So,
oh yeah.
Well, it's awesome. Will we see you next year at the WC, or are you going to wrap it up and say, hey, I'm out of here. I've done it.
I don't know.
Are you going to take the risk and defend that title?
I don't know yet.
I'm on the spot like that.
That was a hard one.
I don't know right now. Boy,
I don't see him walking away. So
I don't know. I don't either. It seems like it'd be nice to go out on top. And, after I won, I'm done, but now, even already today, I'm like, I probably won't be done.
That's good to hear that you'll be around the racetrack in some form, at least for years to come. So,
oh yeah, if I don't run up F3, I'll definitely still be running the Enduro. I think I'll be running the Enduro for several years yet. That I enjoy that as much as anything else too. Just a different animal.
And I don't see you walking away from Alan and those
yeah, you
340s and
brother-in-law.
I don't think you're ever going to walk away from those. Those are his baby, and I think as long as you're in there, you're going to be riding them.
Yep, that's right. He works on them all year to get them ready for vintage weekend, and then he works on them all year again.
That's awesome.
You're always going to be racing. So
yeah, I think at least until Mason starts, and once Mason starts racing a little bit, then we might be able to hang them up. But a couple of years yet.
Thank you for taking the time and getting on. I know you got a busy schedule. Hopefully this helps you with getting a few calls knocked down or something here, because you got to be on here and tell the story, and a lot of people got to hear it now.
No, that's awesome. Appreciate you guys having me on. Good show. Keep it up.
Oh, we
Thanks,
love doing
appreciate it.
this.
And again, congrats. You're 59th world champion, Jay Mittelstaedt.
That's still crazy. It's crazy to say that. Nuts.
So thanks,
All right.
Jay.
Thanks,
All right.
Jay.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Wow. So very interesting to hear, Jay's perspective on the different forms of racing he's been a part of over the years. So that's always cool to hear. That's a guy with a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge that I think that's very valuable to hear his opinion.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
You always see all the bitching and the back and forth on Facebook sometimes, and I mean that's just a guy that loves racing. He doesn't.
He
care.
stayed quiet.
Care.
He doesn't post anything.
Care. Yeah, he doesn't care
he
what
stays true.
He's just happy to be there. So that's always, you need more of that, I think. So that's always fun to
Awesome.
hear.
Well, it was great having him on, and I hope everybody liked it and
Jay
enjoyed it.
Mittelstaedt. And
thanks for watching, guys.
yeah, we got Wassa coming up this weekend. Wassa 525 here, home race for us. Saturday and Sunday will be with the USSA series. I'm sure there's more racing going on elsewhere, and then I think, like Jay said, Iowa has an enduro race. We don't really follow that a ton, but
They're trying to get me to go Mira. Talk to a few guys that do some video stuff for Mira, and they kind of see if I want to go over there. They talked up pretty big this week.
Wow, that's cool.
To me. So we'll see what they can pull for cards to get me in there and have some fun with them.
Wow, we're getting
we're
big.
Going somewhere.
You're getting big. I'm not here,
Maybe you're gonna have to come with me and we'll make an adventure out of it.
Yeah.
We're all about watching races, get in the pits and talk to the people.
Yeah. And what I liked from this weekend too, I heard a lot of good things. You always try to, you hear the negativity on stuff and you always try to tune that out. So I think Craig Marchbank says it best: keep racing positive. Otherwise tracks disappear. I'm sporting an Alexandria Winter Spectacular shirt. So
I had the Eagle River hat on. I bought it this weekend.
When it's the last race at that track. So always try to keep racing positive, keep the promoters and volunteers happy that spend a lot of time doing that. So
yeah, it means the world, and keep the comments positive. I see some 440 pages change with the guy
with admins. They don't want to deal with it anymore.
They want to have to deal with it, so they pass it off. So it's interesting to see that too now. John Hankey took that spot. I think there's going to be a lot more narrating on what happens on that page.
And if you guys don't want to air it out on Facebook, reach out to one of us. We'll discuss it here.
Yeah, we feel free, and we love seeing the comments. Everybody, thanks for
participation from anyone watching. And again, thanks to Jay Mittelstaedt, your world champion this year. So that's very cool to see. And
one of the interesting comments, I wish I would have had it up a little earlier, is do you think Blaine reached out to Jay?
I didn't even see that.
That was interesting to see that. I bet you he did.
I wish
Jay's still in the studio here. Actually, let's throw him back in. Jay, that's the question right there.
Did
he reach out to you? Did he? I seen Jake Bear on the racetrack. That was awesome. Your team from the other stuff.
Yep.
Did Blaine reach out to you?
Yep. We talked a little bit afterwards. I got to know Blaine pretty good when I was racing champ. That was kind of when he was starting to come up through, and I get along with his dad really well too. So good family there. But yeah, I talked to Blaine. He congratulated me. Super happy. Obviously, he was bummed he didn't get a chance to defend his title. I felt bad for him. I wish he was out there. I could compete against him, but no, he came over and congratulated me. He was super happy for me. So I was pretty excited about that.
He's a big team player. He posts a lot of stuff. So,
yep, absolutely.
Awesome. All right, Jay, we're going to close this up.
All right.
Thanks for being on today,
Thanks again, Jay.
You bet, guys.
World champion Jay Mittelstaedt right there, folks.